So my name is Deepak Latkar. I work for a company called Skyline Enterprises. We are in the commercial construction industry, build most of the interiors of the buildings, as well as also we do a ground up construction. So it's more like a term is called general contractor. So my title is I head the IT infrastructure, applications engineering, and cybersecurity for Skyline family of companies. Yeah, we actually have multiple companies, more than 4. I would say that 4 are also part of our company, and then portfolio. We have other portfolio of companies as well. We are also expanding like organically as well as through acquisitions. So at present, yes, something around 4 or 5 companies we own. The cybersecurity team, we are about 4 people in the cybersecurity space, exclusively, I would say, working on zero trust framework model, as well as some of the other areas of end-to-end cyber protection to strengthen our defenses and attack surface mitigation as well. I mean, instead of going into one particular type of industry, we pretty much support various industries in not only the tech, but also like healthcare, as well as like vehicle services, and many other different verticals. We are about like a 300 plus employee company. We do have a good enough virtual infrastructure. Some physical infrastructure is there for legacy reasons, like legacy application reasons. And we have a good presence in the cloud. It's a mix-up of SaaS infrastructure as well as some platform as a service. Since this is like more like a little bit of a flat organization, so we do not really have like specific teams working exclusively on development efforts, one, and then pre-production or staging and productions. It's basically there are some shared responsibilities we have, multiple these team of small number of people also wear multiple hats, right? So it's basically it is what it is, and we plan to kind of expand slowly, grow, and as we grow, we plan to hire some dedicated resources specifically. Yes, we do have actually audit and compliance because we need to be compliant with CCPA, kind of quite similar to how the GDPR is there. Something similar to that. We also have a good, I would say, mix-up of large companies or clients of us we work with have a very complex MSA requirements from a cyber perspective, or specifically also in the data protection and the privacy side of things. We are incorporating into more like a standard cyber model of, when I say standard, not really standard, but it's a journey, right? It's a cybersecurity is a journey. So specifically the zero trust is where we are actually working and focused more towards that and working towards the goal of being ourselves completely, as much as possible, I wouldn't call like fully immune to the cyber attacks, but at least do our best to strengthen our attack surface. Airgap, helping also with regards to one of our legacy applications accesses for our, I would say, accounting, finance, and some of the other business departments, like G&A departments, who rely upon this application heavily to ensure that accesses to this particular legacy application is very robustly secure, as well as protects us from ransomware type of attacks and anything such modern malware type of attacks. Honestly, this is more of a proactive approach. I mean, we do see a lot of things coming our way, for whether it is a sophisticated spear phishing type of attacks or any sort of hacking here and there. We do find in many different areas of tools we use, such as modern SIM, and also we have a full MFA and everything we do have. However, some of the challenges we see that no matter how much we do, it's not enough, right? It's basically it's getting more complicated and complicated as we go, and the more new attack vectors are emerging, right? It's basically for that reason we want to be more vigilant and be ahead of things like unknowns. There are many unknowns, so we want to make sure that if we are as much as possible ahead of all these like unknowns. I always keep saying this to many of our internally to our teams as well, that there is nothing like a silver bullet. We are working on a silver lining, and as much as possible work towards protecting the intellectual property, as well as also our any sort of sensitive information. Every company, regardless of the industry, really have data, some information, sensitive information that you obviously, besides the PII is pretty important as well, because of you need to be compliant with CCP and so many other different compliance, governance and compliance and practices. But at the same time, you need to be also make sure that you are completely ready as much as possible from the defense's perspective specifically. So if you are infrastructure, cyber, defense mechanisms are weaker, it's very easier to penetrate. It's very easier to kind of have a ransomware type of attacks or any type of attacks. So ultimately, the goal is protect end to end everything you have in your organization. How actually strong you are from any sort of attacks coming your way. How would you defend that, right? So that's basically the biggest challenge, because you do not know what is coming your way, because every single day, new attacks are coming your way, right? The war is on one side, there are like lots of different types of emerging attacks, very sophisticated, many places, many companies, right? Like, unfortunately, the smartest companies who actually have created products of fiber, even they are getting hacked, right? So it's not that easier, but at the same time, I'm not making any statement that, we are fully immune and nothing will basically attack us. Absolutely not, right? So we are working on that silver lining. We do not have a silver bullet that, it's going to take any sort of, bangs on us. It can protect every single thing. It's not that easier. So, but at the same time, we're optimistic. Every user's computer means a server to me, to be honest, because that's the gateway entry to anywhere. Like right now, there are no boundaries, right? Earlier, it used to be you just work within the company, you sit inside, everything is protected by your firewall, and that's it. So there's nothing like that. I mean, from COVID, everybody is aware that, especially in 2020 onwards, pretty much 90% of the workforce is remote. Every device you actually carry with you or your employees need to be protected. So that's why I call endpoint protection end-to-end needs to be really robust from a security standpoint. Completely zero trust and beyond for these framework models, many different things fit into that, right? It's a very, very huge and robust model. Airgap will definitely fit into that as well. And I think, as I mentioned, more about our legacy tools, which we have applications specifically in that area in order for our employees to get access to that securely, also avoid any sort of ransomware type of attacks. I think this particular tool, which we are thinking about rolling out in the production later this year, the TLS, the web RDP or TLS and all that kind of thing. So it's basically, there are again open source tools available for that too, but I think what I have really loved to see that integrations to the SSO and MFA platform, it is actually seamlessly, if we can integrate with Airgap, I think it will really simplifies our end users' accesses, again, very securely as well. The user access, this is over a traditional RDP, but over a VPN model, definitely secure. We have a terminal service within the organization where the users come in from the VPN and then connect to the terminal server and then launch their application. It's still a legacy method, so I don't really like that. But we are stuck with this application because of it is something for our construction industry that has not yet moved to the cloud by the vendor themselves. I have managed some heavy ERP applications in the past, such as Oracle EBS and SAP. But this is not one of those. Those are all pretty good and robust and cloud and very, I would say, the best of the best ERPs those are. However, this particular one, what we're using is a little bit legacy and is not ready for the cloud fully yet. they're working on it. The vendors are working on it, but it'll take maybe another couple of years for us to kind of go there. But in the meantime, we want to make sure that we do right to protect these. And I think the Airgap's, the Web RDP, this particular tool will definitely help us in that direction. Yeah, I heard about that. The Kill Switch. I think I would possibly like to see that a little bit more, get an understanding of the entire overall tool, how basically it will be useful for us. I think we are on a good journey from a cyber perspective, from disaster recovery, contingency planning, fully, securing our backups in the cloud with encryptions, with FIPS encryption as well. It's pretty, I would say, end-to-end. We are protecting every computers and doing the immediately it notifies us like a detection and response, and then we act upon it for remediating that. So it's, I think, working. Many things are working as we wish, and I would like to. At the same time, there's always a gap, right? This is a journey. There's always a gap, and we want to make sure those gaps are also kind of, filled as well. The challenge is the construction industry is pretty, I would say, a little laid back compared to, I come from tech industry mostly, and some other industries which are pretty, I would say, tech savvy. Construction industry is a little behind, and they're getting slowly there. So one of the reasons I'm here in this particular company, that the founders as well as the board thinks pretty ahead of the curve than any other companies in the construction area. Construction industry also will really emerge eventually, embracing these newer technologies, though it's kind of a little bit behind from a cyber, but smart homes and all these are coming. You've got to be really making sure you protect yourself. Otherwise, one day you will see, your home is completely locked and somebody hijacked, you can't even enter your own home, right? You got to keep up. You got to, basically make sure that you are ready for whatever comes your way as well.